Now, overall, my feelings toward this game. Okay, before that, let me tell you a little story. Okay, whenever I play a game, I try to go into it with as little knowledge about it as possible because I hate spoilers. I hate spoilers. Don't tell me anything at all. Okay, the only thing I need to know is the title of the game and what console it's going to be on. Don't tell me anything. Don't tell me Link is the protagonist. Okay, I will find that out for myself. So I go play a game with little knowledge, and then I come out and I make my own judgment and assertion on that game. Then what I do is I go and I research that game and I see how other people felt about it and I add how they felt about it into, if it makes sense, I add how they felt about it into my incorporation. Mainly what I'm talking about is how fans feel about it. Not like, I look at magazines and articles and internet articles and stuff, but mainly fans because it's mainly what the fans think that I think is important. And so I did that with Skyward Sword. And I went and I played it, had very little knowledge of it, which was very hard to do when you're on the Zelda dungeon and everybody wants to talk about the new thing they learned about Skyward Sword. And when I came out of Skyward Sword done playing it, I was like, it was a good game. It was okay. It was a good Zelda game too. It's okay. It wasn't my favorite, not in my top 5. I felt like it was missing something. Like I felt that in like the back of below my neck, behind my shoulders somewhere. Like I just felt it was missing some key components. And so I went with the mentality that it was okay, and I started doing my research. And I looked it up, and I go to Zelda Dungeon all the time, on there all the time. And I started talking to people. Now the line for Skyward Sword is clearly drawn. It is thick. There is a thick fence of Skyward Sword. Either you love it or you hate it for Zelda fans. And it's a lot like Twilight Princess. You rarely ever see anybody who just likes either Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword. They either love it or they hate it. Now, I went and I talked to the people who hated Skyward Sword. And what they were saying was making sense. They would say things like, it was a bad prequel, or its story had this element that made it bad, or its gameplay was not focused enough around exploration. The things I said, they said too. And I was like, yeah, you made a good point. They also said things I didn't think about. And they said, yeah. I said, yeah, you're making a good point. So now I'm a little bit lean toward the hatred side. Not too much. I'm still on that thick wall, but I'm a little bit lean toward the hatred side. Then I listened to the people who thought Skyward Sword was the best Zelda game ever. And no offense to anybody who likes Skyward Sword, but I listened to these people, and what they were saying, I just couldn't agree on. They would say things like, Skyward Sword had the best storytelling element ever. Then I lean right. I'm like, I thought that was Twilight Princess. Then they'd say something like, it had the best character development ever. And I lean right some more. I'm like, Skyward Sword had good character development, but the best ever? Again, I'm thinking Twilight Princess. Random person's a Twilight Princess fanboy. They say the Wii motion controls really made the innovation in the game increase. Again, leaning more towards the hatred side. No, it really didn't. All Zelda games have had good controls. Just because this uses motion controls doesn't automatically make it better. And so I'm now more leaning toward the hatred side. But I'm still not fully there. I'm not even halfway there. I'm more toward hatred than I am toward loving. Then the fanboys came out. OM goodness. Now, I dwell in a realm of Zelda. We are known for fanboyism coming out. It's a stereotype among Zelda fans that we're fanboys. So a lot of times you get fanboys, and I can usually handle them. I think like 5 times in a week is my limit. But Skyward Sword fans came out the woodworks. Every time I said something, they were there. They were like roaches. Evil cheese-flavored roaches. I couldn't get away from them. I could only take so much. They asked me things like, how did you think about Skyward Sword? Did you just love it? Think it was the best Zelda game ever? I'm like, it was okay, but I didn't think it was the best ever. They're like, what? Why not? I'm like, well, it didn't really lack exploration. They're like, you're wrong. I'm like, my opinion is wrong. Okay, opinions can be wrong, but it's like, fanboys. Who are you to tell someone their opinion is wrong? And I say things like, well, yeah, and as a Zelda game, it's not really that good, because when I judge games, I judge it based on the game series past, the game itself, and what the game could have been. And if it does well in all those three areas, then I'm pretty much good. So I was like, well, this game isn't really that good when you compare it to the other Zelda games. It's like they told me that's not a good reason for liking for not liking something. I'm like, when did I need a good reason to not like something? I can understand if I said that makes it a bad game, but I mean, saying something is a good game and liking it are two different things. I love Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, but that was a horrible game. And I hate Conker's Bad Fur Day, but that was a fantastic game. So I pretty much got punched in the face, Kaioken times 20, Falcon Punch, every time I said something bad about Skyward Sword by the same fanboys. And so I jumped, I plummeted to the hatred side. It wasn't like I became an anti-fanboy and started only saying Skyward Sword in a negative light, but somebody would say something good about Skyward Sword, and I'd be like, yeah, that's true. Then somebody would say something bad, and I'd say, yes, that is so true. Finally, somebody else gets the point. Hey, anybody else see this? I'm going to make a long blog about how this person is correct because they said something bad about Skyward Sword. And I was really I had this really intense hatred for it. Now, I'm currently replaying Skyward Sword. Like I said, I adjusted the graphics on my TV, which made it look a lot better. I'm about a third of the way through, and I gotta say, I'm starting to feel like I did the first time I played it. Not hatred. It's not the best Zelda game. It's a pretty good game. I'd even go as far as to say it's a great game, just game in general. It actually turns out that with this game, I linked, pun not intended, I linked my hatred to fanboys to Skyward Sword. So I kind of apologize for that. And so now nothing I said while I was hating the game was false. I stick by all the things I said. It's just that I was saying it with such a burning passion of hatred that the game really didn't deserve. I mean, the game is good. The game is decent. So overall, my thoughts on Skyward Sword. It's a great game by itself. Maybe borderline good, but I would call it a great game by itself. As a Zelda game, it's okay. It's meh. As a series game, it sucks completely. It does not do anything good for the series. I still believe the Zelda series would be better off if Skyward Sword had gone in a completely different direction. So, if you are a heavy Zelda nerd like I am, Skyward Sword can probably bring up hatred to it. You could probably dislike Skyward Sword. If you are just a normal Zelda nerd, you can either love or hate Skyward Sword, depending on who you talk to. If you're just a person who plays Zelda games, you should really highly enjoy Skyward Sword. And if you've never played a Zelda game before, Skyward Sword might be the game for you. Personally, I try to, people, first-timers, I'd say either Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess, because Ocarina of Time is a great intro to the series, and Twilight Princess has the best balance of Zelda and non-Zelda components, so that people can really see what it is. But Skyward Sword, it probably gets second place behind those two. So, those are my overall thoughts. I like Skyward Sword. I don't hate it like I used to. I like it, but I still think it took the series in the wrong direction. Now, those are my thoughts, but for those of you who don't know, I'm just a random person and you don't have to agree with me. I don't know everything in the world, so there's no reason. Oh, this is a YouTube video, is it? Post in the comments below about what you thought about Skyward Sword and whether you agree with my opinions or not. But, opinions are opinions. And, YouTube. Okay, gotta say stuff. If you liked it, click the like button. If you faved it, click the favorite button or add it to your favorites, whatever. What else? If you want more of this kind of stuff, you can subscribe to me. I'm going to, of course, I'm going to be talking more about Zelda, but I also do other kinds of videos, other kinds of nifty things. I've got a treat coming out in January, but that's going to be a little surprise. And I'm going to be doing a lot other things, mainly Zelda. I'm going to try to expand my horizon later, but right now I'm sticking towards Zelda. Facebook, I'm on Facebook. You can like me. I'm on Twitter. You can follow me. I'm on Zelda Dungeon. I'll put all those links in the description. And that's it, I guess. Well, that was random, and I'm out.